Halloween and children will be out to trick or treat, we hope that the treats will be many and the tricks ingenious. But sometimes people give children bad things on Halloween.
In Shreveport, Louisiana, an old legend that actually happened this time.
Halloween is on Sunday, and there's a spreading fear that this year the real Halloween scare will be many more cases of contaminated treats.
I've got a friend who's big and round and oh so jolly, gee whiz. Lend me your ear and you will hear just who this fellow is. He's Punky Punkin, the happy pumpkin, happy all the day. And his great big smile will chase your cares away.
Chase them away, away.
Punky Punkin, the happy pumpkin, never wears a frown. You can see that he's cut out to be a clown.
Oh, what a clown is he.
The candlelight inside him makes his eyes light up and gleam. They shine right through the window at you for a happy Halloween. Punky Punkin's a happy pumpkin, and do you know why? 'Cause he's a jack-o'-lantern instead of being
The first documented case of tainted candy happened on Long Island in 1964, when a housewife named Helen File, upset with older kids for trick-or-treating, handed out dog biscuits, steel wool, and poison ant buttons. Although File testified it was just a joke, she was still found guilty of endangering children. This fear really took root in the 1970s, when outlets like Newsweek were reporting that several children had died from poison or tainted candy.
In the 1980s, hospitals began offering to X-ray treats.
All NextCare urgent care locations are offering free candy X-rays through tomorrow.
We haven't had any instances where we found any tampered candy, but you read it in the news and you see all of these crazy pictures online. And so, if I were a parent, I would be a little bit concerned as well.
This is Ronald Clark O'Brien. Mr. O'Brien is 39 years old.
It looks like you're going to be executed. Would you agree with that?
It's a possibility. I've been aware of that possibility since the sentence was handed down. It doesn't make it right.
It's fair to say that nobody gets any joy out of executing anybody, but it is also clear that most Americans want to get on with this. They are upset that you're alive.
I can see that point, sure. But here again, I don't think revenge is right. I don't think society is entitled to revenge.
You are accused of ruining Halloween for everybody.
Well, that's a matter of opinion.
Demonstrators were outside the prison waiting for the announcement they wanted to hear. Parents of other murdered children joined the vigil.
How could anyone do something to their own child? What all of us would give to have the chance to have ours back.
Do you think Halloween will ever be the same again?
Oh, I don't think Halloween has changed a great deal, except maybe gotten a little safer.
Ronald O'Brien, the man fellow inmates called the Candyman, was killed by lethal injection this morning at a Huntsville, Texas prison.
Ronald O'Brien went to his deathbed never admitting that he killed his own son. But in a final statement, the condemned man did ask to be forgiven.
To anyone I have offended in any way during my 39 years, I pray and ask your forgiveness, just as I forgive anyone who offended me in any way.
Ronald O'Brien is dead. His ex-wife sees the execution as the end of a nightmare and a chance for a brand new beginning.
For many, the idea that we were killing the man who killed Halloween seemed justified. O'Brien had to die so we could have our fun back.
People were celebrating it, no question about it, but it was kind of a catharsis, really, and people welcomed the event.
And I'm Gina Gaston. He is being called the Candyman, a Pasadena father of two who passed out poison candy to trick-or-treaters Halloween night 1974.
The only victim killed in that crime was his 8-year-old son.
Eyewitness News reporter Pooja Lodia joins us live from the infamous neighborhood where it all happened. Pooja?
Dave and Gina, it's hard to imagine a more innocent, a more trusting, a more American tradition than trick-or-treating. And as you can see, it's still going on right here in Pasadena. But on this same street, if you walk just a few steps down, you'll find one of the most horrific, one of the most gruesome Halloween horror stories ever recorded.
It was kind of a cold and kind of a misty, damp night.
It was 40 years ago tonight. A Halloween that changed everything.
Since it had been raining, Mr. O'Brien had a raincoat on. And unbeknownst to his friends who he was with, he had the pixie sticks shoved up the sleeve of his raincoat.
Ronald O'Brien gave pixie sticks to 5 children, including 2 of his own. His 8-year-old son, Timothy, asked for one first.
He said the boy responded after he ate some of it that it was very bitter and it didn't taste right.
An hour later, Timothy was dead. The pixie sticks were found to be filled with cyanide. O'Brien claimed to be shocked.
He gave a eulogy in church that Sunday night that had the whole congregation crying.
Parents across the country vowed to never celebrate Halloween again. This home where O'Brien claimed to get the pixie sticks was shrouded in suspicion.
Someone took it upon themselves to take the trust and the fun away from a lot of parents and a lot of children.
Then police learned O'Brien had just taken out life insurance policies for his children.
I found an adding machine tape, okay? It had all his bills written out next to the numbers. On the adding machine tape, he had added them all up, and it came to almost the exact amount of what he stood to collect.
A jury took less than an hour to convict O'Brien, an hour and 5 minutes to sentence him to death.
He was just very cold and calculating, okay? And he saw a means to an end to get out of debt. And it's as simple as that.
Halloween's never going to be the same, right?
Never will be the same. Not like it was before this happened.
Halloween can be a scary time. Not because of witches or ghosts that we know aren't real, but because of real things that can spoil our fun. Just remember these few important things I've told you about. Carve your pumpkin carefully. Make sure that you can see. And make sure people can see you. Remember all your safety rules, and take off your mask when you cross a street. Trick or treat in your own neighborhood, and don't keep any treats that don't look right. If you can do all that, then you won't have to worry about scary, real things happening on Halloween, right? Right.